So we're going to get started, but thank you to everyone who's attending. I try to do this webinar series or these regular webinars as a way to educate our clients and just the general public on different things that are relevant to all of us. The last one we did was on finding a new job and leveraging the job market. This one here, we're talking about real estate, and we have Damarys here from Coldwell Banker, who is a professional realtor in New Jersey, in, I believe, the Maplewood area and servicing that area. And so I'm going to let Damarys take over, give a brief introduction on herself, and then we'll get into the presentation as well. So Damarys, the floor is yours. If anybody has a question, please type it into the chat. If you can't hear, please let us know. We'll be happy to adjust. Thank you.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Damarys Cover. I am a professional real estate agent out of our Maplewood office for Coldwell Banker. I do serve the Essex County and Middlesex County in particular. I was raised in New Jersey. I've lived across a couple of states, and I decided some years ago to become a real estate agent because I wanted to focus on helping families purchase and sell their homes. I love serving the community, and it fit very well for the type of work that I like to do. So I have 15 years of professional project management experience, client experience, innovation. I worked in the airline industry for over 15 years, as well as other service industries before that. And I decided to switch careers a couple years ago and enter into the real estate industry because I was so intrigued by real estate, and also because, again, I really wanted to help families with their purchasing and moving, because I've had so much experience with moving myself across states. So that's really where my passion came from in entering this industry. I've been able to help people, young families, people who are retiring, purchase their homes, sell their homes, and repurchase, downsize. So it's been a very interesting few years in this market. As you all know, last year and maybe even the year before that, through the pandemic, there were a lot of changes in the real estate market, right? It became a very large, very big seller's market. There was a lot of competition. There were a lot of buyers, mainly due to a few things, right? There was the pandemic that drove people to want to move out of small apartments into homes. And then there was the interest rates that were so low, right? And then on top of that, there was that there weren't a lot of homes on the market itself. So that drove that high competition, driving prices of homes up. And people were, for example, in the Essex County area, in Middlesex County, New Jersey, and really across the states, you would see a lot of people that were moving out of cities into the suburbs to move into larger homes, bigger spaces, because so many of us transitioned from working in offices to working from home. So that was one of the drivers of that phenomenon. Now, post-pandemic, the federal government saw that there was some inflation coming around, so they've been trying to ensure that it doesn't continue to rise. And in doing that, they've been raising the interest rates. That is what drives the interest rates for the mortgages also to go up, is to try to minimize the impact of inflation. With that being said, now we're seeing a shift in the market where homes are taking a little bit longer to sell. So we went from maybe selling a home on the market being there for a few days even, to now we're seeing it take about 30, 40 days, depending on the area that you are in. With that being said, that means longer periods of time that the homes are on the market. There's a little bit less competition for them. Interest rates are a little bit higher, so there's the interest rates being a little higher. That drives the amount of buyers that can be out there purchasing your home. So if you, as a seller, for example, are out there, you want to sell your home, instead of receiving, 30, 50, 60 offers as we were seeing, a year ago, you may get 3, 4, maybe 5 max offers. There's still going to be very good offers. And you want to remember that all you need is one good offer to sell your home. You don't need 50 offers on your house to sell your home, but there's less competition, which means that there's more there's more buying power now for the buyers themselves, right? There are different things that are happening in the market. Whereas maybe before the buyer was willing to not do an inspection and waive a lot of contingencies. At this point in time, because we were starting to shift, we're seeing that a little bit differently now. Instead of the buyers waiving any contingencies and inspections, as a seller, in order to sell your house, you may be willing to offer a seller's concession, or to pay some of the closing costs, or you may want to offer to pay some of the points for the buyer to buy down their interest rate. So those are some of the negotiation tactics that we're seeing in the market right now. That doesn't mean that it's a poor market, of course.
So things have obviously changed, but what you're saying is you may not be getting 15, 20, 30 offers. You will be getting offers on the home. And at the end of the day, the right offer is still the right offer for you to buy or to sell.
Correct. So you may so working with a real estate agent, working with a professional realtor, what you will want to do is you want to you want to know what other homes in the area that you are living in have sold for recently, right? You want to do comps. You want to get professional comps from your real estate agent, that they will be able to walk you through and compare your home to other homes that have recently sold to properly price your home. That is key when you're going to sell your house, right? Because if you price it too high, now it will sit on the market for a very long time. And as the longer it sits, the longer it, not only is it the longer, not only does it take longer for you to sell your home, but also what you will see is that you're going to have to probably price your home down. That always makes the buyer skeptical about why is the home taking so long to sell, and what issues may there be that no one has actually purchased your home. When in reality, it could have been a simple issue with pricing. Now, if you price it too low at this time, you might not get competitive enough offers to sell your home overpriced at that price point that you're looking for. So pricing your home is key to making sure that you sell your home at the right time, within that right time frame that you're looking for.
Okay, perfect.
So I just kind of wanted to put that out there just as an overall highlight of what is happening in the market, and as a seller, how does that impact you?
Gotcha.
I think so. We have the key highlights here. So, for example, pending homes dropped in the fourth straight month, down from 10.2% from August. And month over month, contract signings are pulling back in all 4 major U.S. regions. So again, that goes to show that increasing the interest rates to help with inflation is beginning to impact the industry, the real estate industry, and buyers and sellers overall. Some of the things that we're also seeing is, right, like the pending sales are decreasing. If we take a look at the market snapshot of Essex County and Middlesex County in September alone for single families, right, we see that the average price is very similar across both of the counties here, was 522,000 in Essex, 526,000 in Middlesex County. But we see that there was about a 5% drop in Middlesex County over those 3 months prior. So we're starting to see that the prices of the home on an average is going down, while the interest rates go up. Now, that does not mean that the home price itself, you're going to sell your home for less. You're just going to be selling your home for what it's worth. What we were seeing before during the pandemic, again, it's very important to highlight that, right? Because what people became used to was if you priced your home and you were going to sell it for $400,000 or $500,000, we were seeing, because of competition, the house sell for 550, 600, depending on the area and the way the home was, right? So now what we're seeing is a little bit of a pullback from that, right? You may still be able to list your home for that 500 price point, but it's going to sell for 500, right? You're not going to see those over asking, overpriced homes, right? Because the competition is just not there. It's not
That's
there.
a really great point. The market has changed, and you may not be getting what people were getting last year, but you're still going to get a very fair price, right, Damarys?
Yes, you are. So while we're not seeing that high competition driving your home prices above asking, what we are seeing that the prices of homes are still on average moving up in an upward trend. Why is that, right? A lot of people ask, well, wait a minute, if the interest rates are going up so much and there's not as many buyers on the market, there's not as much competition, why are home prices still so expensive in the United States overall in the major cities? Well, what's driving is that there is still low inventory overall for homes compared to the amount of buyers, compared to the amount of home buyers that are out there in the market searching for a home. So during this time, right, we also have to consider the fact that it is, we're in the holiday season, we're in the winter season, and there's usually a dip in the market during that time frame. So it may take a little bit longer for you to sell your home. Buyers are not necessarily looking right now as much as they would be during the springtime and the summertime, because if you're taking a look at, for example, families, right, who have children, they're going to want to buy in the spring and summer so that they can then start the new school year in September with their kids in the new school. They're less likely to buy during the winter months, but not that it doesn't happen, of course.
Excellent market snapshot. That's really interesting. Again, this is going to be on the YouTube channel, my YouTube channel, so that you can refer back to it. So let's go to the next one. So part of the presentation here is talking about strategies that we can employ in this market as both a buyer and a seller. So this one is obviously as a buyer. Can you take us through this slide and give us some of your expertise on, as a buyer, what should we be doing in this environment?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. First and foremost, always get a pre-approval, which is very different than a pre-qualification, right? A pre-qualification, you're entering your own information into a computer-generated system, but it is not getting verified or checked. You're not submitting your income. You're not submitting any documentation, right? With a pre-approval, you submit your documentation to the lender. They are going to take a look at your credit. They're going to take a look at your debt. They're going to take a look at your income and take a holistic view with that and let you know this is what your determined budget is to purchase your home, right? And whether that be a single family or a multifamily. With a multifamily, you would get a higher budget amount to purchase because they're going to take into consideration that second income from the other unit if you have one unit, or if it's, let's say if it's a 3-family home, they're going to take into consideration the monthly income that you will be generating from those 2 other units. So that's also key to understand and know, because if you are going to purchase a single family, you're going to have a pre-approval letter for a certain amount, whereas for that multifamily, it's going to be a little bit higher, and that's the differentiator. And sometimes you may not qualify for a single family home, but you will qualify for that 2-family home, for that 3-family home, because of the fact that they're considering that income that's coming in that you're generating from the multifamily. Right.
That's really interesting. I didn't know that there was a difference between pre-approval and pre-qualification. So thank you for clearing that up.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very important, right? Because with a pre-approval, you are pretty much, in essence, it's like having your wallet, right? Like if you go to the store and you're shopping, if you don't have your wallet with you, you can't shop, right? But at that point, all you are doing is window shopping. You want to be able to have um, buying power with you so that when you do see a home that you want to purchase, that you want to submit an offer on, you already have the seller know you are serious. You are a serious buyer. You can purchase this home. There is no time wasted, right?
Okay.
And that's key. And that's key, right? Because whether it's this market or the previous market that we were in, right? Um, we can't waste time on, well, now we have to get pre-approved after we see a house that you like. Because if there are other offers on the table, the seller may not want to consider waiting on you to submit an offer. If they have a good offer, they're going to go with that, right? So that's the key for getting a pre-approval. Then you're going to want to work with a professional real estate agent that is going to be able to put a plan in place for you. What homes you're going to take a look at, what you can afford, what is best for you, across the board, right? You know, you will tell them, I like this X, Y, and Z, but let's take a look at other options as well based on what you can afford, what your budget is. Again, we do a comp analysis. One of the first things that I like to do with my clients, aside from educating them on the process before we even get started, is we also take a look at what are the things that you must have versus what are the things that you want to have in this house. And we take a look at what those things are. And I do a comp analysis for that as well. I go and take a look at, well, look at the homes on the market right now, what they're selling for based on what you like. And is that realistic? If that is realistic, great. We can shop in that market for all those things that you want. If it's not, then where do we tweak and adjust so that we can purchase a home for you, right? Because ultimately, the things that you want, the most important is purchasing that home. And what is the driver for purchasing that home? What is it that's pushing you to want to purchase a home now versus wait, right? So we take a look at all of that and decide, is this the right time for you? If it is, what are you looking for? And if what you're looking for is realistic, great. If it's not based on what your budget is, then let's adjust, let's tweak to make sure that you get into your home and you're no longer renting. Then
That's really
it's
great. And that person is a guide for you, right? Like they'll help you
yes,
adjust at things, they'll give you ideas, and they, much like a financial advisor, they think about the things that you're not thinking about, right? You have a busy life with
absolutely.
work and family. They do this all day, every day. They know those things in and out.
Absolutely. Not just that, but we also have the relationships across the board, right? So when you are purchasing home, you have to consider that you will need a team, right? And we help you put that team together and also manage that team for you while you're at work, right? So when we're talking about purchasing home, you're going to need not just a real estate agent, you need an attorney, you need an inspector, you need a lender. So that real estate agent, myself, I make sure that I am in constant communication on a weekly basis, checking in with all of them and with my client to make sure that everybody's aligned, that we don't make any missteps, that all the documents and everything are in order so that we can make a timely closing. Yeah. Another thing is then getting the best deal as a buyer, right? That's where we also come in and do some comp analysis, take a look at the homes that are sold on the market most recently, take a look at what's selling right now. And we're going to be helping you make a strategic offer that it benefits you and also is going to be of interest to the seller, right? Because what we don't want to do is submit an offer that we know is not going to be even looked at or considered by the seller. We don't want to offend the seller, right? So we want to make sure that we're going to put in your strongest offer, something that makes sense for you, and try to win that offer, right? And so that takes some market knowledge and, of course, also skills and relationship building across the board with the listing agent, and even the home sellers as well. And then closing on your home. again, it's making sure that we help curate that team of experts for the buyer, for the client, to make sure that we can get you to the finish line. You having the wrong attorney or having the wrong lender by your side or the wrong inspector by your side could kill your deal. And that is not what we want. We want to get you to the finish line as smoothly as possible. So those are some
Excellent.
things to consider going into purchasing your home.
Purchasing a home. Excellent. And now we're going to
Yes.
go to trying to sell your home, correct?
Yes.
Yep.
So here are 4 steps to selling your home, right? And a marketing strategy is key. So you can, a lot of people are like, well, I have my home, I can sell it on my own. Well, here's the thing. Selling your home on your own is not going to get you the exposure that you are going to need and that professional eye to help you sell your home at the best value at the highest price within a good time frame. Remember what I said earlier, the longer your house sits on the market, the more likely it is that you are going to have to lower the price of your home in order to sell it. So now you're leaving dollars on the table that could have been avoided. So, we go from pre-marketing, right? We go into your home, we take a look at your house, and I'm going to, say, okay, your home looks great. But maybe we take these things down or we rearrange this. Sometimes we don't need to hire a home stager. Sometimes we do. And that is a recommendation that we would be able to assess based on what your home looks like. So we do home staging and photography, professional photography. It is so important and key because remember, you are trying to appeal to a buyer. For someone to take a look at your house is no longer just your house. It is now a product on the market, right? In order to sell, it has to look good. Again, I compare it a lot to when you go shopping. If you go shopping at the mall, you're going to want to go into the stores that look nice, that look neat, that look bright, versus the stores that look messy and disorderly and dark and dingy, right? So you want to have that in consideration when you're selling your house. And that is what a real estate agent helps you with, is making sure that your home is ready to sell the day it hits the market. Not just that, we put it on online MLS services that you as a seller would not have access to on your own. So we can then distribute your home across thousands of viewers, across thousands of websites, and get your home the most visibility possible. The more eyes on your home, the more likely we will find that perfect buyer for you. And then that goes across the same with media marketing, right? Social networking right now is huge. It is key in order to supplement those Zillows and Trulias and Realtors.com, right? So you want to be able to have visibility on Facebook, have visibility on YouTube, have visibility on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, across Twitter, everywhere, all the social media sites possible in order to sell your home and get people to come in, take a look. You may or may not want to have a open house. Those are part of that decision making that we have in the conversations during our meetings, right? Are we going to have an open house? What does that look like for you? Is it just one weekend? Is it multiple weekends? Is it a super weekend? Are we doing both Saturdays and Sundays? Does that work for you? If not, does it work for you to have someone come to your house at the time that works best for them during set hours that you have already set, right? And we can set that up for you as well. That is something that you don't have to manage. And that is important, right? Because again, remember that you are selling your home while you're also working and living your life. So a real estate agent, a professional real estate agent is going to be able to manage all of that for you. And then that direct marketing, right? It's preparing the brochures and the flyers that are going to go out around the neighborhoods and in multiple areas. For instance, with Coldwell Banker, we will put your home for sale and we will list it not only on the MLS and put it on social media sites and send out brochures to the area around you, but we will also put it in the Sunday newspaper. We will also put it on a TV ad for you on Sunday morning. So we are getting you as much exposure as possible to make sure, again, that you have a successful sale of your home. So that's key in this, especially in this market, because you're competing against other homes, maybe in your neighborhood, in your area, that buyers are taking a look at, right? And you want to be able to get that right buyer for you.
That's excellent. Thank you so much for that. So if anybody has
absolutely.
any questions for Damarys, directly, here is her contact info. I wanted to jump right into the Q&A portion of this presentation. I just sent out a chat to everybody on here, but if you have any questions, you can write them into the chat. I'll have Damarys answer them, but I did have people submit questions ahead of time, so I'm going to start with a couple right here. So I opened it up to clients and friends, Damarys, and there was kind of a common theme with this question. So home prices are still high. And you touched on this in the presentation, but we'll talk a little bit more about this. Home prices are still high, and there is still a lot of competition in the market. Add on high interest rates, and it seems like this is not a good time to buy a home. Do you agree with that? And if not, then can you explain why it is a good time to buy a home?
I go from it. I approach this from a individual standpoint, right? The question is this a right time to purchase a home for me at this time, right? Well, you want to take into consideration that yes, the interest rates are higher than they were this past year, even earlier this year in January, or before they were last year, but the rates are just adjusting back to pre-pandemic. So if you take a look at the rates where they were pre-pandemic, we're just right about the same where we were, right? And homes were selling then. Now, what we want to take a look at is it in your budget? Are you financially ready to purchase a home, right? So we don't want to take a look at much as focus on that interest rate, because if you're focusing on that interest rate, you're chasing the interest rate, right? And in not purchasing now, you're taking the risk that home prices will continue to rise, right? So what we always say is there's a little bit of a cliche phrase, but it's, marry the home and date the interest rate. So if you are financially ready to purchase and you are emotionally ready to purchase, of course it is the right time. Why? Because outside of that, you are renting. And in renting, you are not adding value to your home, right? You are renting, that money is gone. You purchase a home, you are investing every month the same amount, likely, into your home. And if the day ever comes that you want to sell your home, you're going to be able to sell it very likely for more. It is an investment, right? Whereas you don't get tax write-off benefit stream every year if you're just renting the way that you would if you have your own home, right? So there's benefits to owning a home that you will not have if you are renting, right? If renting is right for you at this time, absolutely. Rent, save your money until you are ready to buy. Until you are ready to buy. I say that a lot because I don't like people to get so caught up in, oh my gosh, the interest rates are so high, home prices are so high. Okay, let's take a look at what your finances are. And that's where we, again, make sure that we connect you to a lender that's going to take a look at your financials specifically, that are going to take a look at what your income is, what your debt is, what your debt to ratio is, what your credit score is, what is your budget? And within that budget, does it make sense for you to purchase right now? Are you going to get what you're looking for, right? And always keep in mind that because we are in a period of time in which home prices are likely to continue to rise right now, because of the fact that there is not enough inventory across the United States. So they will continue to rise. The price of a home this year will not be here next year. So it will be likely more expensive next year to purchase than it will be this year. And we cannot determine whether the rates are going to be lower or higher next year. What I based on research by the NRA, we know that the interest rates are likely to start slowing down a little bit because, again, the the Fed is decreasing those rates little by little, and that impacts mortgage rates. So we're seeing that right now. They're going a little bit below that 6.5. But again, let's not focus on the interest rate. Let's focus on, are you ready? And if you are, if you are, let's move forward. If you're not, how do we get you ready? So that 6 months from now, when you are ready to purchase, we are ready to go out there and take a look at the home that you want to purchase that makes sense for you.
Yep. And I just want to reiterate that point. So again, is it the right time for you to buy, or is it the right time for you to rent? It's a very personal decision. It's based on your context. It's based on your financial situation. You want to figure out what your budget is, how much you can put down, how much you can pay monthly. That also has to fit in within your finances. You don't want to be paying too much, and your mortgage and your property taxes and the insurance. You don't want to have most of your income going towards that. You want to do the work beforehand so that you go in with an idea of what you can actually afford. And yeah, like you said, I love that. Marry the house, but date the rate. That's exactly it. The rate can change. And to that point, I mean, one of the other questions that we had is, in this environment, are you seeing people have success getting adjustable rate mortgages where they can, adjust that in a few years, and it gives them the opportunity to have a little bit more flexibility?
Again, that is a option, and it is very personal decision. It really depends on the buyer, how comfortable they are with risk. To your point, adjustable rate mortgages, they will adjust in time, and you won't know what that interest rate will be. So what I still see with my clients in particular, we are still looking at interest rates that are stay the same every year. You're paying the same monthly mortgage every year, every month, with your insurance and your taxes unchanged, right? Because there's a security in that. Now, what you can do down the line, 6 months from now, a year from now, is you can refinance. So that's another option. So that's where we talk about that dating the rate, where if you purchase now at the rate that we have now, you can then refinance once the rates go down. But you now have your home that you purchased at the price from now, right? Not thinking, not from a year from now, right?
Yeah.
So, you'll be able to afford your home.
Absolutely. You found the home that you like, you're in it. And like you said, rates end up going down in a few years. You can always refinance and do that, and have a lower payment going forward. Excellent.
Yes.
Sticking with financing. So one of the common questions that we were getting is, I keep hearing that I have to put down 20% as a down payment. Is that true? And if not, what happens if I put less of a down payment?
Okay, that is a great question as well. No, you do not have to have 20% to put down on the purchase of your home. If this is your first home, you can go as low as 3%. There are different programs, right? So you have, with a conventional loan, you can do 3% down. The interest rate will be a little bit higher. And there's going to be some stipulations to that as well. If you do an FHA loan, that FHA loan, the minimum is 3.5% down, right? So you have options out there where you do not have to come out of pocket with 20% down. And in this market in particular, right? Like, let's say you do an FHA 3.5. I always recommend to my clients, if you're doing a 3.5 FHA or even a 3% down with a conventional, right? You should always account for expenses that are going to come out of pocket during the purchase. So that would be your inspection, that would be your appraisal, and maybe a few other things that may come up, right? That's out of pocket prior to you actually closing on your home. So you want a couple $1,000s for that. And then you want to have 3 to 5% for the closing costs. You cannot forget about your closing costs. So with closing costs in this market, there are some opportunities where we can negotiate and have a seller's concession where the seller may pay part of your closing costs or maybe all of your closing costs. Or maybe we can also consider um, a program where the lender helps pay for those closing costs as well. There's programs out there that are available. Of course, you have to qualify for them, but there are options that you can explore that would help you so that you don't have to bring that 20% down plus closing costs. So I always tell my clients, if you're doing a 3% or 3.5% down, always budget for having about 8%, 8.5% total so that it covers your down payment and your closing costs. And that
Okay.
should be safe. That's safe.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, those costs a lot of buyers forget about. So this is an obvious one, but I want you to say it because I think
Okay.
people, when you get into a position where, let's say, you found your dream home and you're competing against a bunch of other people, there
Yeah.
may be a situation where, you say, oh, let me waive the inspection, let me just put money down, let me buy this house. Why is a home inspection so important?
Uh, because you cannot see with your naked eye what is behind the walls, right? So to speak. So, for instance, you will go and take a look at the home. You see it for maybe 30 minutes or so. You fall in love with it. You're like, this is exactly what I was looking for. You are so enamored by it. You are not paying attention to are there any windows cracked? Simple stuff like that, right? To is there water damage in the basement if there's a basement? Does the heating unit work? Are there issues with the roof? Pipes. Is there any asbestos? There's so many things that a professional inspector is going to take a look at with you. So what we do is you now have your dream home, you've submitted an offer, it's been accepted. We are now calling an inspector, right? You're going to get an inspector. They're going to schedule some time with you, and you're going to spend a few hours in that home with that inspector. Not only are they going to tell you the ins and outs of that house, they're also going to demonstrate to you what do you need to know when you move in, right? Maybe you've never owned a home, you might not know how to work the heating units and the water units, right? And they're going to tell you where everything is located so that when you walk into that house, you are feeling confident that not only are you living the home of your dreams, but that you can manage living there as well. So
That's
it's
great.
it's
And
key.
so,
It's key.
it's a cost that I think people are like, why do I need to spend it? It costs X amount of dollars. When you're spending this much and you're making this much of an investment into something this important, your primary home, that is something that is worth the cost. Do not skimp out on that. Do not skip that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And also, some of the things that you want to consider is that if you have if your lender has pre-approved you for an FHA loan, for example, right? That is what you qualify for. There are certain stipulations with an FHA loan that you have to make sure that the house is in the right condition in order for you to be able to purchase it and get to closing. For example, there cannot be chipped paint in the interior or exterior of the home. And that's something that is going to come up in the inspection. It's going to also come up with the appraiser, right? They will not allow you to close on that home if there are certain issues with the house. So it is very important that there is always an inspection of the house. It is peace of mind. It is money that is worth, paying for, because you are, if you walk into purchasing your home without an inspection and then now something happens afterwards, you're going to wish that you would have had that inspection, because the inspection contingency is there to protect you. If you waive it, you have to purchase the home now without knowing what was in there, right? But that inspection, yeah, so that inspection contingency is there to protect you. Use it. Spend a few $100s to get that inspection. It's worth the peace of mind knowing what you're walking into. At which point you can make a decision at that point. Does this make sense for me to purchase? Right? You can make
Gotcha.
that decision
Gotcha.
at that time and say, you know
Excellent.
what, if the seller does not want to fix any of those things, right? Because there's some negotiation that happens. If there's some major issues, you can negotiate that. And if they refuse and there is no way that the home is, for instance, livable because there's no heating in the home, for example, or whatnot. You are able to speak with your attorney and make the right decision for your family at that time and say, you know what, if this doesn't get fixed, I can't live in this home. I may have to walk away. And then there's the, negotiation and discussions that go on behind the scenes with all parties there and yourself included to make that decision for you. So it's very important to have that inspection.
Yeah, definitely important. Protect yourself and protect your family and the investment that you're making. I'm going to end with this last question here. A question that we get asked a few times by some of our clients who have kids and grandkids. I want to help, and I'll insert children and grandchildren. I want to help my children and grandchildren with their down payment. How should I go about doing that, and what else do I need to be considering?
Okay, great. That can do a gift to your children to purchase, to put towards the down payment of the home, but that money has to be sourced. What does that mean, right? That money, when you transfer it to your child, they put it into their account, or your parents, they put it into their account. The lender now has to know exactly where that money came from. So you have to be willing to provide your bank statements or whatever statements of where that money came from, because they have to make sure that that money is sourced. Without knowing that the money is sourced, we cannot accept it. We cannot close with that money. So it's important that is the key caveat on that is, yes, you may help as a gift with the down payment, but the money has to be sourced at all times. And it's
That's a
good to
great
know
point.
that. Yeah, it's very good to know that upfront, right? Because when you're purchasing a home, you should have, ideally, you have been planning to purchase a home now for a few months, and you've started to put your money aside in a separate bank account. That is ideal. Putting your money in a separate bank account that will only be for the purchase of the home, because the bank, the lender, will ask you for bank statements of the account of where you have your money saved to purchase the home. That allows that account to be not only for the money to sit there and be sourced, but also for them not to have to see any other transactions other than the money that you have there for the house, right? It gets a little muddy when you have your general bank account and you have a lot of different transactions in and out. They have to go through all that in order to make sure that you have the right finances. So it's always cleaner, and it's ideal for you to have a separate account where you have your money to purchase a home. That doesn't mean that you cannot do it. You can't purchase a home if you don't have a separate account. It's just always ideal to do it that way. It makes it cleaner, it makes it faster, and it makes it easier on everyone. But yeah, make sure that if you're going to give a gift to a family member, that you are going to be willing to source that money by providing bank accounts and also signing a letter that it is a gift.
That's a really great point. So I love that you said, it makes it a little bit easier for the lender if you have it in a separate bank account. I think that's great. It also removes some of the temptation to possibly dip into that money. You keep that there for a specific
Absolutely.
reason. We're using this for a down payment. We know that this is there. We don't want to, mess up our long-term plans for something in the short term. And then also where you're sourcing that money from. Something that we take very seriously as financial advisors. Anytime we do anything, you're linking bank accounts, where's money coming from for investments? They all want to know that it's coming from legitimate sources, that, it's part of the banking system. It's had its taxes paid on. So that's part of what Damarys is talking about. And then I just want to add, as a financial advisor, there are gift tax limits on gifting money. So for 2023, that number is $17,000. Anything up to $17,000, you do not have to file an extra IRS form. But above that number, you do. It doesn't mean that you have to pay taxes on that necessarily. What it does mean is that it just gives the IRS a way to track all of the gifts that you're making above that gift amount. And so that you just want to make sure that you're filing that form every time you give a gift. And so if you give, let's say, $50,000 or something, $20,000 to a family member for a down payment on a home, just make sure you're filing that and you're letting your CPA or accountant know about it as well.
Great point. Love that, Sid.
Absolutely. So we're ending the near end of time. I didn't get any questions, any extra questions, but we did cover a lot. Damarys's contact info is here. If you have any questions, please reach out to her. And again, this will be posted on my YouTube channel, and I'll be sending that out in my newsletter and promoting that as well on social media. So stay tuned for that. Damarys, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate your help and your
Great.
expertise on this. You've made a lot of this stuff a lot more clear. So thank you.
Great. Thank you so very much for having me on. And thank you to all for listening. And I hope to hear from you soon.
All righty. Thank you. Take care.
Okay, bye.